So you're doing some research here.
Yeah, so Cam the intern
Got his own podcast.
got his own podcast, but it looks good.
Looks good. Logos, good
Maybe
graphics.
it sounds good, too.
Oh, Cam. Hardworking kid.
Cam?
Yeah.
Every day that kid's stock goes up a little
Doesn't
bit.
it?
A little bit.
Ryan, her three on the way. It's good off the backboard and in. Murray, what a take by Tucker. Jones, another steal. Spin on Caldwell, and the layup's good.
I would like to see you hold a mirror up to yourself and interview yourself. As good as this was, it could only be better if it was all you.
Tuning in, I was a fan. I was like, man, let's do it.
Cam, thanks so much for having me on. I'm happy to be here.
Joined today for the first time, Cam Isimone. Gallagher's going to have to shoot it from beyond the arc. And it's good! Jacobs for three. He got it! My goodness, what a shooting performance by Jacobs.
I think Cam's Corner is great.
Tune in to Cam's Corner.
This kid's going to make it. He's going to make it here.
We're back, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Cam's Corner. It's been a minute, but we are back with a former guard at UMass Dartmouth now. Graduating this year, and a former guard at Johnston High School, both in the 1,000-point club for both programs. It's Jordan Moretti. Jordan, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And I always start off every podcast asking whoever it is, an athlete, coach, broadcaster, whoever I have on, where that passion for what they do stems from. So for you, obviously, it's basketball, playing, throughout your whole career. Just where does that passion for the game of basketball come from? And, how are you introduced to it at an early age?
I think I first picked up a basketball when I was like 5 or 6. I think my dad kind of got me into it. But it's actually funny. I was actually more into softball. And I didn't really start like having that deep passion for it until I was like in high school when I started playing with Chris and stuff. So I was like playing AAU softball my whole life, like ready to go play in college there. But then I think after like the seasons I had at Johnston, I would kind of like changed my mind and was like, wow, I love this sport. So.
Yeah. So was it ever, more one-sided, like basketball is probably going to be what you were going to do in college? Did you ever get any like college attention for softball?
I did. I had a couple like emails here and there, but like I was already set when those emails came in, like to go play basketball. So I was like, oh, my mom wanted me to do both, but I was like, that's a lot. That's definitely a lot.
No, definitely. I know some people that do it, and they always end up just picking one sport because so it's so time consuming around one season and back-to-back seasons and all that stuff. But when you were younger, what athletes did you look up to and try to model your game around? Because I'm sure you're very fond of like a lot of WNBA players and NBA players as well. But playing a lot of different sports, like what athletes did you kind of gravitate towards?
Yeah, definitely watched a lot of like college back then. Sue Bird, obviously, like her game. Then like point guard wise, like Skylar Diggins-Smith. I always loved watching her. And then just like the past like few years, I was watching like Erie McDonald, like how she went about it and like being the size she was and playing in D1. So I always looked up to her.
Yeah, and growing up and developing as a player, outside of like role models that you would look up to, like what were the mentors that you had, throughout your career that really helped develop you as a player and like, just help you throughout the process as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think my parents were always there for me. They supported me since I was little, drive to every game. So they were always there for me, no matter how good the game went, how bad the game went. And then definitely Chris Corsinetti. He definitely pushed me in a way that I wasn't really pushed before. He taught me a lot of stuff on and off the court, and he was always there for me.
Yeah, and obviously, I know you coming from the same town. Fans from Dartmouth that might not know a lot about your high school background. Just describe what it was like going into the high school scene as a freshman. What you thought your strengths and weaknesses were, and how you kind of developed over the years as a player.
Yeah, going in high school, for anyone, it's pretty scary. Like you're a 14-year-old going with 17, 18-year-olds that's been there. So, as a freshman, I was like, also in the back of my head, I was like, oh, Chris is my cousin. Like, I don't want the girls to think like any special treatment, which none of that was. But I think freshman year, I was on half JV, and then I got moved up to varsity. So I was playing both. And I was tiny. I was really tiny. So, I was kind of always knew I had to work on that. So, but I think my quickness kind of like gave me a little edge. So then sophomore year, we didn't have the best years. And then junior year, we came out and we just played. We weren't the most talented team, but we just had the season we did, and that's when I was like, okay, like this is fun. Like I love basketball. Like I want to do this. I want to work at it. So I got in the gym, started lifting. So that's kind of where I got to.
Yeah, and like those championship runs, I mean, they're like kind of tough to put into words. I mean, to be in those kinds of atmospheres at that young of an age, at the high school level, to play on college courts. Obviously freshman year you kind of got thrown into the fire, like you said, you played JV and varsity. But how long was it until Chris got you into that rotation where you would play more minutes? And just describe those like types of championship runs that you guys had as well, along with that.
Yeah, I think he threw me in like a couple games after the freshman year.
Mhm.
And I was like, he told me, I remember, he was like, the minute I stepped on the court as a freshman, he said, "You're not a freshman anymore." He's like, "You're a basketball player, so go play." So that's kind of what I just did. I kind of always had that mentality, like, I'm just going to go out there and do my thing, just play basketball. And then junior year, we like I said, we weren't the most talented, but Chris always said, like, if we have the most heart, we can make a run. And I didn't think we were that good until we played Juanita Sanchez. And they always had a good team. Like they were tough, they were strong, tall. So I think after we beat them, I think we all kind of looked at each other and were like, okay, like we can do this. Like let's do this. So it was crazy. I would have never believed we would have gone undefeated that season. Like it was insane.
Yeah, I mean, to be at those games, I mean, like I said, like I wasn't there all 4 years for you. I came in, I think, when you were a junior. But the girls team was always great. I mean, even when after you left too, you guys continued that legacy and that championship runs and stuff like that. But to cap off, an historic career at Johnston, I mean, 1,000 points as well. I mean, not a lot of athletes are fortunate enough to do that. And I know you've done that at the college level as well. But for a high school student, obviously a lot of awards too came to you that year and years prior. But what do those awards mean to you, or what did they mean to you at the high school level to have that in your honor?
I mean, I'm always the type of person who's not like it's an award, but
Right.
I'm always like I want to win. Just I want to win. Like, and I wouldn't have gotten those awards without my teammates and my coaches. So they put me in those positions, and I always make sure like I recognize them. Like I wouldn't have been there without them. But I mean, it was nice. Like just like I don't know. I was a little girl from Johnston. I never thought I would be able to do what I did. So it was cool to see.
Yeah, a lot of athletes that I talk to too, even at like the college level, like they always say, the award's cool, but like it's all attested to the people that helped you along the way and things like that. So obviously I was never in 1,000-point scorer. I was never, I'd never had any of those like attributes, so I wouldn't know how that feels. But it's cool to get other people's perspective on how it would be, especially at the college level too. We'll definitely get into that as well. But at the high school level, once you figured out that basketball was going to be like your main priority. And I know you mentioned that you said you had some softball offers as well, but for basketball, what was the scene looking like when you were a senior? Did you get attention mostly in your senior year, or was it kind of throughout high school too, as well as while you were praying?
I think it kind of was like end of my junior year. Like other schools started realizing like, oh, Johnston, like they're doing well. Like who's leading this group? And so then I started playing AU, and then was looking over there. So but yeah, I think after we were the only D2 team to make it to the Final Four of the Open tournament. So I think that opened a lot of eyes. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and coming in as a freshman at Dartmouth, again, mainly, how did you decide on Dartmouth predominantly?
So when I visited there, I was like, okay, I love the atmosphere, the environment, and like just seeing the girls on the team and how close they were. They were really like a family, and how they interacted with the coach. So I think when I was there watching their practice, I was like, this is a part of the team that I want to be part of. So like my Johnston team, like we were all really close. Like I was hanging out with freshmen as a senior, like we're together. So, and I saw that when I went to Dartmouth. So I was like, this is where I want to be.
Did you see anything similar to that, like at other schools, or what other schools did you, tour and kind of, figure out like what their programs were about?
Yeah, so I had a couple looks in New York, but I know I didn't want to go that far. I wanted my parents to see me play, my family. So then I also had Rick. It was kind of between Rick and UMass Dartmouth, but then I I told my parents, I was like, I want to. Rick is 10 minutes from my school, from my house. So I was like, I want to be able to go somewhere where I can like live off campus and have that and be able to grow like that. Cause like I came into UMass Dartmouth and I didn't know a single person. It was hard the first couple of days. So I think me being able to do that helped me grow a lot. So that was a big reason I wanted to get away from home. So, and it's like 45 minutes, so it's like an easy drive home.
Yeah, anytime I would go see you guys, your dad, your family would always be there. I'd always see everyone there. So that's good that they got to enjoy, the trip as well with you, throughout
Yeah.
your journey. But like you said, coming in as a freshman, you don't know anybody yet. I mean, I know Caitlin played with you guys. She was a former teammate of yours as well, but that was, a little bit later down the road. But did you feel like you had something to prove at that level? As the game's changing, the game seems maybe did it seem different in your eyes? Did it seem like faster pace or anything like that?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it was only like 4 minutes added, but it was a fast game. Like high school, it's like a little slower, like longer shot clock, like all that. But when you get to the college level and I was going in as freshman, I was like, okay, I got to keep up with them. I got to make sure I'm in shape. I got to just keep going. And they were strong, they were big. So again, like I was still tiny as a freshman, like just I only worked out like here and there. So it was a lot.
Yeah, and someone you mentioned too earlier, obviously, Chris Corsinetti was a huge, obviously, mentor, and he's your cousin as well. So, I mean, always being around him, being taught by him. Did you feel like you wanted to see something similar with the coaching staff, like when you first like committed, and what did you see that was like kind of different that they brought to the table?
Yeah, I mean, definitely like having Chris as my coach all 4 years, like he showed me what a coach's supposed to do, like this, that. And besides basketball, he was always there for us, like off the court. Like he cared about us, what we were doing, like, are we okay? Like mentally, physically, like he always made sure, like he was just that mentor off the court. And he taught us so much. He started every practice with a quote of the day. So my coach at Dartmouth, he does that too. So I was like, that's pretty cool. Like just saw the connection between that and my coach, Coach Ducharme. He's always cared about us and he always wants the best for us. So that connection like kind of swayed me to go here.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if there's anything like different about the staff, but you just mentioned that, Chris and your coach throughout the years kind of had the same mentality. They had the, coach of the day and similar, mindsets, which is good. Definitely, an attraction piece as well coming in as a freshman. But for your
They're
first year,
definitely
yeah.
coaches too. Chris is always like jumping on the sidelines in high school.
Yeah.
And our coach here, he's very energetic. So
Yeah.
don't like that.
That animation goes a long way. I mean, like for me and my teammates being coached by someone like Dan Mazzulla, I mean, he doesn't get much like more animated and more loud than that. So
Yeah, for sure.
it plays a part in the game for sure. So it's definitely good that you've had those coaches, throughout your whole career. But as far as your freshman year, what was kind of like, I always ask like athletes and stuff like that too. Like you're kind of like welcome to whatever you're playing. So like about NBA players, I ask them like, what was your like welcome to the NBA moment? So for somebody like you, what was your first moment where you realized like, all right, this is college basketball. It's not high school anymore. Like this is, like this is serious. It's fast paced. It's a completely different level of play.
I mean, I think just like the first day of practice, we like got in there and like they started just running their drills and they did what they did. And I was just like, okay. I was like, I need to pay attention. I was like, but just like that, like just was like, all right, this is different. This isn't high school anymore. Like I just need to step it up.
Yeah, and again, we talked about it too, like teammates and how close you are with them, not just in high school, but again at Dartmouth as well. Obviously, you built those bonds coming in as a freshman. And we talked about somebody like Kalen Zalewski, who you were very close with at Johnston, of course. Just add on that, like just talk about what chemistry means to you, how it's brought you guys success throughout the years, and what it transcribes to off the court.
Definitely. Chemistry is everything, I think. That's like my major thing. Like if I'm ever become a coach, like my major thing would be chemistry on the team. Because like Chris always told us like we weren't the most talented, but if we stick together and we have that chemistry, like we'll be successful and it showed. And we in high school, we were so close to each other. Like we just wanted the best for each other. And then when I got to college, it was the same thing. I mean, when I was a freshman, like we were hanging out with the seniors. Like I'm thankful for them, like Nakira, Danielle, Ashley, like all of them, like they weren't like those girls who were like, oh no, they're freshmen. They were like, hey, come hang out with us. You know what I mean? So, and then when I kind of, it's weird because like when I kind of became an upperclassman, I was like, I still feel like an underclassman, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna do what they did. They took me under their wing, so I was like, Kaylin and Tasia, they were the freshman class when I was a junior during the COVID. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna take these girls under my wings, and now we're really close. They're like my best friends. So
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, if I didn't have, the guys that I had at the basketball level, like on the court, I mean, those are like my lifelong friends. So, I mean, that goes a long way. And especially at the college level too. I mean, people coming from like all over, you know what I mean? Not just Rhode Island. It's not just high school. It's like from all over. So that definitely goes a long way. But progressing throughout your career at Dartmouth, your first year, averaged about 5 points off the bench. But I mean, you got right into the fire. I feel like, right off that first year, the coaches, I feel like they trusted you more. I mean, those numbers went up drastically your second year. I just wanted to ask you too about how that goes down, because obviously high school is a little bit different. There's more flexibility. It's not, college is no guaranteed roster spot. Obviously, high school there isn't either. But how did you work your way into a rotation, and how did you gain trust in these coaches to start getting these big minutes and to start putting up the numbers that you knew that you could?
my dad always told me that I have to earn everything, like nothing's gonna be given to me. And that was my mindset through high school and through college. I was like, if I want to play, I have to work at it. So I mean, freshman year, I had a one big game that was like my coming out game against Babson. And I was like, okay, like this is fun. Like I can do this. So I mean, I just kept working at it the summers in the gym, working out. So just kept grinding at that.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we go back to Chris and his family, someone that you battled up against, your cousin Antonia, Rick, plenty of times. I always wanted to know what that was like. I mean, obviously, of course, in the championship games and things like that, it's obviously more tough to go through things like that. But just throughout the course of a season, I mean, you match up with them about, I think once or twice at least.
Yeah.
Going back down to Rick, seeing your family down there, just talk about those moments and what it's like to share the court with Antonia, like during those games.
I mean, it was so funny. We're always against each other. So we always like joked like, oh, like when can we ever be on the same team? So I mean, even in high school, it was like I tried to get her to come to Johnston, but it was always a great time. I think we still like at the end of the day, we're family. So basketball aside, we'll always have that. But on the court, it was fun. Like we'd be like talking to each other or just like giving each other high fives here and there. You know what I mean? Like I knew all those girls on Rick, so it was just playing against them. I mean, what I played against them in high school, so it was a good time. I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, me and Tony are still family, so it was always fun, like the good competition. She hits a three, I come down, I hit a three, and then just seeing my family coming to Rick, it was always hyped up. Like my family's there, a bunch of my friends, so it was always a good time.
Was there ever any like trash talk between games, like games that got heated or anything like that?
I don't think like there wasn't too much trash talk. I was kind of just like focusing on the game, but like
Right.
she like shoot it, and I'll be like, damn, can't you miss or something? Like stuff like that. It's like little things, but yeah, I was just always locked in the game. So
Right. Yeah. And then going back to what you said about like junior year, how that was like the COVID year for everybody. But what that gave you an extra year of eligibility. So, I mean, it gave, a lot of opportunity for yourself throughout the years prior to that or past that. And, you just became the 14th player to become an 1,000-point scorer now at Dartmouth. And again, we go back to those awards. I feel like it means more to athletes at the college level to like, take your game to the next step and be still able to get those awards and be honored with that. Now I wanted to ask you for this now, like, what does that mean to do that at the college level? Be a top 50 player in the country for Division III women's basketball. Like, what does all that mean to you and everything that you've accomplished at Dartmouth?
I mean, it's crazy. Like if you would have told me that my freshman year, I would have never believed you. My mom was always like, she said to me, she was like, I remember you were a freshman, you were like, I can never make 1,000 points in college. Like that's crazy. I was like, yeah, I would have never thought like me coming in 5'3" would have done something like that. So I mean, like I said, like those awards, like I wouldn't have received those without my teammates and my coaches. They really pushed me to be who I am today. So I share those awards with them all the time. Like those awards are theirs just as much as they're mine.
For sure. And, looking back at it now, again, like I said, throughout the whole episode so far, very historic career, Johnston and UMass. But if you were to look at your whole basketball or your college basketball career as a whole, what would you say was one of your most memorable moments on the court? It could be during the game, after a game, anything like that really sticks in your head that you're always going to remember.
I really think like just this past year, the first game, my 1,000 points.
Mhm.
It was really special because my grandma was there, and that was the first game she came to since my sophomore year because of COVID.
Mhm.
So, and just having like my whole family there, and like my parents, my brother, Chris was there to see it. So, and just like finally getting it over with. So that was a really good moment, and I loved that moment.
Yeah, for sure. And to cap everything off, I'm going to do a little bit of a speed round. I got like a few quick questions for you. First one is your favorite basketball player. It could be a WNBA or NBA player.
I think Sue Bird.
Sue Bird. And what's your favorite shoe to wear like in game?
I think as much as I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I like LeBron's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A lot of people, I mean, they don't like, they're not big fans of LeBron. It's too heavy, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
for sure. And if you could play on any court in the world, where would it be and why? Like any venue.
It'd be pretty cool to play at South Carolina. That just like what they're doing right now is insane. So to play in that facility, that would be really cool.
Right. And to follow that, what was one of the coolest arenas you were able to play in throughout your career?
I think just URI maybe. That's kind of the biggest one I've been to. I've been to like other colleges, but that one, like the D1 facility, that was pretty cool for the Final Fours.
Right. And if you could compare your game to any professional player out there, who would it be and why?
Probably Skylar Diggins-Smith. I mean, she's not the tallest guard, but she's a point guard. She can shoot it. She can go to the basket. So I think her.
And lastly, now that basketball in college is, coming to an end, what's next for Jordan Moretti? What do you have in the future planned for yourself? What passion do you want to start to get into now that basketball's over and everything like that?
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna finish up my master's degree here, and then I'm gonna enjoy the summer a little and look for a job in marketing, sports marketing, management, stuff like that. That's kind of what my degree is in.
Right. And if you ever have any questions, I mean, I'm heavily in media, but I mean, if you ever have any questions, always feel free to reach out. I mean, I know I'm a few years younger, but I mean, I have a lot of connections, a lot of people that have helped me throughout the way. So if they can help you throughout the way, I'd be more than happy to connect you guys. But
I appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah, for sure. And that's all I got wrapped up for you, Jordan. I just wanted to know what you thought of Cam's Corner. And yeah, to kind of end off the show, what do you think?
I love it. I love what you're doing. It's pretty cool. That's amazing.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Jordan. I'll definitely be in touch in the future and hopefully see you soon for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan.